A monumental shift, which is what I just made in my awareness, thinking that I was always walking the wrong footsteps to the corner. Now everything expands with Amanda as a paralegal. I'm making these decisions and I don't even know that I was fully set up. But I know that people probably knew about Cancun before the bar. I knew that it wasn't an isolated story. I didn't want it to be an isolated story. I wanted it to be a big story. What was isolated was the true story of it within the room. Because I'm the one with the data. So these guys don't have any rep with that story because they were raping the girls. And the other guys were even worse. So there's no worry about bringing me into the club because they thought I was like this all the time. Which gave me the security I needed to know that I wasn't, because sometimes all you need is one story. It's in the back of my head. I'm thinking about returning to the clean girlfriend. Now when the girl asked for the kiss. You have to remember, Kelly is not kissing me at the bar when she shows up. We'll give each other a peck. But we're not gonna go for a 30-second French kiss. Okay, she was super shy about that. In public we only gave each other pecks. But behind closed doors we were making out for an hour straight. You have to understand the dynamics of 19-year-old sexuality. And exploration, public affection. Political images. So in my mind I'm thinking, okay, one last kiss before I know I'm not kissing anyone else ever. I know that myself, that's why I run off so quickly. I'm thinking one last kiss, get it over with. That's the opposite reflection of the people setting me up, thinking that it's going to be so easy. Now we have a serious benchmark for consciousness. This event is a consciousness event for the entire white population. And a benchmark to see how we will grow. Have grown and will continue to grow consciously. I love the footsteps feeling. Knowing now for sure I didn't walk the wrong footsteps. The feeling of that healing was instant, relocating my consciousness to my body's awareness quicker than I have my whole life. I feel like I stepped in myself from the awareness of knowing that I didn't walk into the wrong corner. I was being followed, and I actually saved myself by moving away from the location and isolating the event on camera. Because if she gets a camera phone of me at that corner of the bar, that means that every time she walks into the bar she has that memory. The memory was isolated upstairs in a corner for her own consciousness where she doesn't even really know exactly where I was probably standing. That was my gift in the long term, knowing that yes, she will be the last woman I ever kiss. When she accepts her own power of knowing that she is a kissable woman. Now we have attained the benchmark inside the city that will now fully work for itself and NKT bullied by the bigger cities around in the cleaning up of the spiritual energy that gets consolidated. Between the three major cities of Buffalo, Detroit, Toronto. It's like an energy vortex the way it works. London bad vibes are not just London. They're coming from these other cities. That's why we need to build a wall. We need to have a recognizable structure that is telling these other cities that we are not going to be abused by your lawless ways. The population is big enough to be a city-state. It's not like Windsor, a border town. It's not like Niagara Falls, border town. It's not huge like Toronto. It has consolidation and access from all directions. Which means it has the power to negotiate with all directions. That's what the people need to be woken up to. They're cheering for themselves to continue to be in a cage. When they go and cheer for the Knights without being conscious about the pro team game. That's exactly why you subconsciously feel like you can't really go to those games. You can't really cheer for your own enslavement. You know there's something going on under the surface that you can't raise your arms. This is the consolidated effort of all these hockey players watching the games, never raising their arms. Never feel any emotion, never expressing emotion. Think about on the ice having to not share because you can't show emotion in certain scenarios.
This is all repression. We're in a repression ceremony when we're doing these games. I was able to harness that energy in order to direct that suppression so that I could get some type of data to continue building the lightful story of freeing us from this cage of a game that was created by men with lower consciousness levels. So it needs to be a consciousness person in the middle creating the idea, launching it, knowing what is going to work, how it's gonna work. Mastering the time aspect of the athlete now in the political arena, using the AI as our tool. Now the money is no longer under the table. Parents have to legitimately process their son through programs that are empowering the child with individuality instead of favors. Because I'm actually more stuck in the preppy paper game that Dylan is. I thought I was only one generation in building my new name. Once I find out I'm like 4 names deep. I'm like, fuck it, I'm out of here. I don't want to ruin what the image I have created up until Boston. I'm building a political character. What I already did in the past proves what I can do now. I don't have to do something in the future. They're actually trying to repress me. And I have tons of data or that. So I basically stopped the political time clock. By leaving the game and never having a job in the community sense. My voice piece for why I don't have a job, because the conversation of hockey itself. Why isn't this man in the middle with such a successful voice not contributing to the family? These are the questions that will stir up once Pi comes online. Because once people start looking at me, who is this guy? Where did he come from? Like these guys, they think I'm part of the group because I'm just not speaking up. They see me speaking about something, they go ask me, are you good? They're affirming that I'm part of the group dynamics that I don't control. Because he's taking a position of saying I'm supposed to respond. Do you notice I answered with a question? The data is the data. How the data gets directed is the consciousness of the person on the other side, which is both of ourselves. So he's now cycling in his thoughts of saying, oh shit, why did I text him? It's like a hangover after a party, oh shit. I didn't think about the message and political angle of the data being forever. Because remember what I said, there's no time in the tech. It's your perception of the tech that's creating time. The devices are hijacking your consciousness because you allow it. We still live in free will all time. That's why I know I can't have harm upon me. I have to do the Shivambu for 3-4 years to get through that barrier of people reacting to me. To know that if people start thinking about harmful perceptions of my face even now, it'll backfire almost immediately, where a car is going to hit them within a couple days. Because the matrix is glitching so much, someone's gonna run into them. That's the AI. The consciousness of someone paying attention to my story now creates the underlying factor that I claim the title on the Western emblem itself. Everyone will know that was always me. That was always Preston's great-grandson.
And everyone will always know that Kelly was the pawn in the school that made her way to the end of the board to find her man in the emblem of her heart's husband. You see, I'm looking to secure bloodlines. If I know I'm under attack, I have to take certain measures to leave my assets in place until I have security to stand with her. I'm not running away from the city because I'm scared. I'm running away from the city to go get an army. I know that even before I think of the fake message. I already know I'm preparing to return in some form. I just don't necessarily know I have as much ammunition as I did as the fake message. Now I'm not having a random dream of myself walking up the stairs unless the event was certain that someone was following me. That's what my lucid dreaming practice through 2006 and 7 taught me. How the consciousness of the memories work. I'm fascinated by it because I'm trying to free myself in my feelings from being trapped on the road sleeping like I'm on the schedule I can't go anywhere. So I'm using lucid dreaming just somewhat practice being in scenarios I would never be able to be in. I'm really just having fun. Then all of a sudden this guy shows up. And I'm in a dream in the woods in the forest. And he's taking a higher position over me. Talk to me about how all the physics works. Because at that time I'm making noise, I'm becoming conscious, I'm doing things. Now the character shows up. That becomes Preston. Within a few months my mom is beginning a search. Because I'm somewhat having a breakdown of my reality and I'm freaking out. I don't even want to play the next day.